Hi everyone, my name is Konark Bhatia and we are live with Dr. Jaideep. And this is a beautiful afternoon that we are going to listen to a stalwart of the industry. And I'll first, on behalf of everyone, I will welcome Dr. Jaideep.
Thank you.
Jaideep sir, welcome.
Thank you.
So if you allow me, if I can read out your introduction, because I am I'm overwhelmed when I read the introduction, and I believe the audience should also listen to that reading because I might not remember so many things that you have done in your life. So please
Okay.
allow me to read your introduction.
Please, please.
So we have Professor Dr. Jaideep Chatterjee with us. He is Professor and Executive Dean with OP Jindal right now. Jaideep sir, he's often called as Jaideep Swiss Army Knife Chatterjee. Why you will hear it now? An obsessive compulsive multidisciplinarian. Jaideep is an architect, a historian, and anthropologist with a doctorate in history of architecture and urbanism and another one in socio-cultural anthropology from Cornell University. Jaideep's academics inquires diverse questions of design, visual culture, technopolitics, social formation of expertise, popular culture, and nationalism. His research on architects and design as a form of knowledge in post-colonial India has been published with prestigious academic presses worldwide. Jaideep has taught at several universities, including Cornell, the University of Cincinnati, the University School of Architecture and Planning, Delhi. In addition to his academic pursuits, Jaideep is also actively collaborates with designers, architects, artists, and filmmakers to work on many interdisciplinary projects. In his free time, he trains his pack of street dogs along with his German Shepherd, Norbu. He is also a sci-fi nerd who loves to cook and deconstruct everything from restaurant menus to milk cartons. Wow, sir! We are so impressed with, I mean, the diversity that you have in with education. He is B.Arch from Institute of Environmental Design, Delhi, MS.Arch from University of Cincinnati, and PhD from Cornell University. Sir, welcome to the session.
Thank you so much, Kamal.
Sir, I mean, how do you feel after gaining so much of knowledge?
Well, I can say it's been a long, long journey for a very, very long time. You know what? And it has not stopped. You can never stop being a student, right?
Exactly.
And you never stop being a student. The day you stop being a student, you stop being a good teacher.
Correct.
So the learning is still on and it's going to remain on till the time I keel over. Right. So it's still going on. I don't think it has come at an end. In fact, I've recently been debating of getting a third formal PhD in law or something.
Oh
I've
my
been thinking
God.
about it. So, but anyway, but that's just a pipe dream. I don't know, with all these duties as executive dean and all of that, it's become very difficult, but still, the
But
dream
I
is still
guess
alive.
I guess you have got that special key of how to become a doctorate, how to get a PhD.
Yes.
Something that you have, that key you have.
Yes, I used to, back at Cornell or even at Cincinnati, I was just known for, I used to take classes in every department that was possible. So I actually finished my graduate work not only in architecture and anthropology, but also in English literature, philosophy, art history, and government studies. So I basically did the graduate coursework for all 4, 5 disciplines because I just love taking classes. That's just me. But anyway, all right.
That's great,
Right.
sir. So I'll just give you a little brief what this conversation is all about,
Sure, sure.
what this event is all about. So in this event, we have given opportunity to a lot of prospecting designers and architects, the students who are from 11th and 12th, or maybe on class 10th also, who want
Mhm.
to become an architect, who inspire to become an interior designer, and
Mhm.
they deserve to hear from personalities like you. So you
Mhm.
have been to all this journey, you have been to industry, you have been interacting with these people. So I have formed few questions. If you allow me, we can start that.
Please, please, please go ahead.
So my first question, I mean, that's a very basic question. What, according to you, is interior design and an architecture?
It's a simple question, but it's the largest question, right? Let
Exactly.
me let me quite honestly answer it the way we answer it at our school. Okay,
Mhm.
what we tell them is this: that look, there is no set definition. You know why? Because knowledge is not a fixed entity.
Exactly.
As you practice, the definitions of these things come to be. So your practice as an interior designer, right, will develop for you and a very personalized definition of what an interior designer does. Similarly, for an architect, it's the same thing. I'll tell you why. Because interior designers practice as set designers, they practice as toy designers, they practice as experience designers, they practice as exhibition designers. So is there a definition that fits all of this? No, right? But right, same for architects, right? Architects will go ahead, they will get into urban planning, urban studies. Some of them will go into digital architecture. Somebody will go into construction management, right? So there isn't one definition. The definition that I would give is that it is the kind of knowledge. So what is architecture? It is the kind of learning and knowledge and experience that you get when you practice as one, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's the way I would like to define it. And that's and one more thing, Konark, if I can take one more minute to add to this.
So we are
Um,
here to hear you up. I mean, you can speak as much as you can.
all right, thank
All
you so
our
much.
audience are here to hear you up. Yes.
Thank you so much. So, the other thing that's one of the reasons why at the JSA, right, from your first year onwards, all our students come in and they work on something like live projects. What does that mean? That you actually have a client, you have users, you have stakeholders, you have vendors, you have whatever, right? And as you practice, even while you're learning, our school is a very practice live project-based school, right? So as you practice that, what we preach is what we practice. So I'm giving you this definition because we are actually doing it in our school, right? So when the students come in, they practice as something, and through that they begin to learn and understand what that field is, right? Okay, that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for a very enlightening answer. It's not the usual answer that we expect. Usually, people give definition, but you have given a perspective to it.
Yes, I will not give a we. This is a central thing of how we do things at JSA, Kumar. We see to give a definition to anything, right, is to also exclude those who you have not put in the definition, right? So today, if I say okay, interior design is only this, then what about my own students who are working in another area? They will say, sir, come on, what is this? Are you saying we are not interior designers? So the important thing is not definitions, but perspectives, as you put it. It's a way of life. It's a way of working. It's a way of doing things. Best is in any good education has to change your perspective. It does not have to give you formula. Formula-based education is bad. Perspective-based education is what we have to go for, no?
Wow, sir, we fall so much in line. I mean, this is similar thing that we also teach to our students. That
Wonderful, wonderful.
this is not about learning how to draw a human figure, maybe.
Yes.
It is about you understand the nitty-gritties, you understand the base. It is the
It
Guru.
is developing a perspective. I think you said I think it's a very nice word that you've used.
Correct.
It is developing a perspective. It is developing a way of seeing the world, right?
Yes,
And that way of seeing the world will come by interacting the world with that world in the practice, right? So
correct.
that's how we would put it.
So there is a very common question that we as counselors, so I am also a counselor at Creative
Right.
Edge. So we as counselors face it very often.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, uh, what are the job and career opportunities in these kind of fields? But from your first answer, I can guess it a little bit. But yes, our audience, me, everyone would like to learn it from you.
All
That
right.
what are the jobs and career opportunities in these fields?
As I tell people,
Hmm.
the built environment, and I use the term built environment more and more, and the couple of reasons, because both terms like architecture, interior, these, that, or urban are actually becoming a little old. They are becoming what we call passé. I'll tell you why. Because we have begun to realize that all these processes are interconnected,
Hmm.
right? You cannot think of a building without how it interfaces with the city. You cannot think of an interior space without how it interacts with the infrastructure of the city, or even the infrastructure of a building. Today we have buildings which are so integrated into the digital system that you can't even imagine. We could not imagine it, right? So we live in a world today which is networked, not only in a metaphorical sense, but in a very literal sense. We are living in a networked world. So let me then, so this is why we are saying that we like to use the word built environment. Now, what does this word mean? A built environment is any environment that is made by humans, for humans, of humans.
Correct.
Right? And even others, I would say. We will also include that others also make an environment. For example, animals make our environment. Trees make our environment. All of this is a part of the built environment, if you think about it. All right. So to go back to your question, the built environment is the largest industry in the world. Because can you tell me one place that is not built by humans in this world?
Not possible. Not possible.
It's not possible. So actually, the work is the largest in the world. Now, it can go all the way from you designing a little, a piece of light for somebody's desk, to you imagining how policies will work on waste management across the globe.
Correct, sir. Absolutely. Yes.
So the question becomes, again, therefore, I'm saying, why am I talking in this? I can list off 15 jobs for you. But those 15 jobs are also, so it's like a laundry list. I can name 100 jobs for you. Right? But that's not what I want you to again understand, that this field, right? Let me give you a simple example. I just said waste management. India is the third largest producer of solid waste management in the world. Do you know we only have 3 companies in the entire country handling this? And not only handling, I would say mishandling this, because, if you come to, let's say, Delhi, you will see the largest mound of garbage right outside when you are leaving Delhi. So nobody is handling it. We are facing a huge ecological crisis because of it. Now, you know how many people this particular sphere can occupy? It can take thousands and thousands of people who will just look at something like this.
There's unlimited job opportunity if we say. Yes.
Even within waste management, you can think of solid waste management, construction waste management. So the field is incredible. I'll give you another idea. Okay. For example, in the last 30, 40 years, building bylaws of this country have not been developed at all. Right? So we need to change. For example, right now in our school, with the National Institute of Urban Affairs, okay, we are developing and we are working on the project with them on the development of what is called universal accessibility norms for all buildings in this country. Now, can you imagine, we did not have these 70 years, we did not have how differently enabled people could actually access our buildings. So I'm trying to tell you, there's work at policy level. There's work. Now, all this will now mean that every building, once this law comes into effect, will have to be retrofitted, adaptively reused. So, wahan pe kaam hai. But you see, Konark, the point is this: the built environment has so much of work, right, that we cannot even begin to comprehend the level of work that we have.
When you explain built environment, it actually it explained it there and there itself, that it has got unlimited opportunities.
Unlimited possibility of work. And what we are doing at JSA, I want to say this because I want to kind of make it clear, is that that's why, again, our programs are very, very different from everywhere else. So we have added something called a minor program. It's the only design school which does this. So what are we saying? कि ठीक है, आपको interest है policy make, आपको interest है, suppose, let's look at something like architecture and interior journalism, very up and coming field. Okay, so for example, our students can do a BDes major, आपने चाहे interior में कर लिया, चाहे किसी और में कर लिया, and then you get a minor in journalism. So you become a design journalist, right? So our students have about 12 such minors to choose from, and they can combine. आप लॉ में कर सकते हैं, आप पब्लिक पॉलिसी में कर सकते हैं. You can combine international relations with design and architecture, and we have students who are doing that.
Wow.
Right? So it's a different world now, Konark. You know, we have
Exactly.
to rethink what we have been. You know, Einstein had a wonderful saying. He said, "You cannot expect, right, the answers of the past to help solve the same problems that it had created."
It had created. Exactly.
Right. So we have to change now.
You have
Right.
to
And
adapt. I mean,
we have to adopt. The world has changed. The world has actually changed.
and world is
Right.
changing every minute, I guess.
Yes.
Every minute it is changing. So
Absolutely.
you have to
And
adapt it.
right. And you know, the and there's another saying that comes to my mind, that our children will be working with tools we have no idea about and asking questions what we have no idea about, right? So if we don't train them to have this way of thinking, that the world today is moving in a very, very different manner, not in this siloed manner, but in an interconnected manner. You know, Abhi, this is a bad example. Bad in the sense it's a unhappy example. It's an unhappy example, but the COVID, one thing that it showed to you is how interconnected our lives are.
Exactly.
मतलब हुआ वहां पे चाइना में, उसके 2-3 महीने के बाद पूरी दुनिया बंद हो
Yes,
गई.
Dunya. So connected. I mean,
We are so connected.
we were hearing news, and then there is a news that
Yes.
we are under lockdown, and there
And
is
you see, this will tell you that a medical emergency is also an infrastructural emergency, right?
exactly.
Is a city ka law ka emergency, right?
Everything. I mean,
Every
everything.
systems are connected.
Food supply chain emergency, every
Right,
emergency.
हर चीज में, which is mapped onto the economics, which is supply demand में हो रहा है, road network से mapped है, accessibility से mapped है. Yes, this COVID has shown us that in stark, in reality, we can see it in front of our eyes. ठीक है कि हमारे, if our cities are not well designed, how disease can actually spread a lot more. If our spaces are not well done, how we cannot give access to people. We have seen all of this now. So there is no way for us to work towards the future other than realizing that we live in an interconnected world. And you know what? No problem of the world comes with a little sign saying, I can only be solved by an architect and nobody else. We are realizing more and more that the problems of the world require multiple people to come together, working in a collaborative manner, and especially for people who have what is called multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary knowledge.
Exactly, sir. I mean, that's how we define it. You should be educated, but you also have to be dynamic enough to
Yes,
be in a fit person for a job.
वो जमाना गया. वो जमाना गया that you thought कि हम एक चीज करेंगे, उसी में स्पेशलाइजेशन करेंगे, उसी तो उससे क्या हो जा रहा है, आपका एक्चुअली स्कोप, विजुअल स्कोप ना छोटा 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 हो,
बहुत
it's
बायोपिक
going
हो
down, and then you become blind to everything else that is happening.
करेक्ट. बिल्कुल सही
Right?
बात है सर. हम मायोपिक नहीं सोच सकते. अब ये दुनिया है ही
Exactly.
नहीं. पहले जैसे हम लोग बोलते
You
थे
know,
आज के जी.
funny story, when I was doing architecture and then I decided to sort of do cultural studies, then do history of architecture and urbanism, and then do anthropology, my parents who belonged to that generation where specialization was the thing, they kept telling me ki, what are you doing? You're not going to get a job anywhere. You're not going to get. And the interesting thing is, today when I talk to them, they say, oh, you were far more intelligent than us. That you are finally that you are this unique professional which nobody is in this country now suddenly. So the kind of knowledge systems that you bring together, nobody else does.
Yeah. So I mean, this is how, sir. मतलब मैं आपको एक बेसिक एग्जांपल मेरा भी देता हूँ. जब हम लोगों ने ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन को स्टार्ट किया, so Creative Edge is a brand which has got no offline classes.
Right.
So we don't have any offline classes. We are only online classes.
Okay.
So we started this just a year before when COVID struck India. So it was started on 9th March 2019. A year
Right.
before. So
Right.
मुझे बहुत लोगों ने बोला, बहुत मतलब मुझे कई स्टूडेंट्स का फोन आता था कि सर आपका यहाँ अहमदाबाद में, यहाँ पे दिल्ली में कोई ब्रांच है क्या? मैं बोलता था ब्रांच
हम
तुम्हारे
दुनिया
घर
भर
पे
में
है.
मैंने
ब्रांच तुम्हारे घर पे है. मोबाइल
हाँ
खोलो, ब्रांच तुम्हारे सामने है.
हाँ
इट डजंट मैटर मैं आज इंदौर से रिले कर रहा हूँ कि मैं दिल्ली से रिले कर रहा हूँ. आपके
राइट राइट
पास एजुकेशन
फेयर
पहुंच रही है. सर ये चीज रियलाइज हुई जब हम 2020 में एंटर हुए. ये चीज प्रूव होने लग गई कि ये दिस वाज अ राइट मूव. और आज सर जब आप और हम साथ में बैठे हैं, आप आज सोनीपत बैठे हैं, मैं आज इंदौर में बैठा हूँ, और आज हमें जो लोग सुन रहे हैं वो पूरी दुनिया में बैठे हैं।
Just imagine this. Okay, a similar example. Till the COVID did not hit us, when, as an academic, as a professional, as a creative professional, as a practicing, as a critical professional, throughout your life, you will have to go for conferences, you will have to go for workshops to keep upgrading yourself, right? This is always a thing. If you don't do this, then you are dead. You're what is called dead wood, and you're thrown to the side. Now, up until now, all of these used to be physical conferences. तो उसमें, यहाँ पे आप booking करो, 2 महीने पहले planning करो, ये करो. And, because of it used to be physical, there used to be a huge cost associated with it. There used to be travel cost for the people going. Acha. Then it was also very exclusive in the sense that if you had not registered and this and that, you will not have access to it. COVID came, it has smashed all of that. Now, today, we are doing conferences all over the world. We are showing it live on YouTube. The world is getting the kind of same knowledge that we are. So suddenly, COVID has democratized knowledge at one level also.
Exactly.
Think about it. You see, we are living in a very different thing. The old ways of doing things are gone. The COVID was the last nail of the coffin for the old systems of knowledge. Let me put it to you like that, right? We have to fundamentally reimagine, and in a sense, I would say, like you all, whether it was by design or whether it was happenstance or whether it was just because of our passion of the people who came together at JSA, we knew that the old way of studying would not work. And then so now suddenly that COVID has had, people are realizing, तोड़ना चाहिए ही था पुराने वे ऑफ स्टडीइंग को. Anyway, sorry, please continue.
So, sir, I mean, again, मैं तो सर आपसे बहुत एक फंडामेंटल क्वेश्चंस पूछ सकता हूँ.
Please.
Because सर स्टूडेंट्स को ये डाउट रहता है, and on behalf of students, प्लेसमेंट्स कॉलेजेस में आते हैं क्या? आपने बताया अनलिमिटेड अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं इसमें, जॉब की करियर अपॉर्चुनिटीज बहुत है, और आते हैं तो व्हाट आर द काइंड ऑफ कंपनीज व्हिच आर गिविंग प्लेसमेंट्स?
देखिए मैं जनरल बात कर सकता हूँ. पहले मैं जनरल बोलता हूँ, फिर हम स्पेसिफिक बोलते हैं कि हमारे यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है. टू गिव यू, सी, typically again, this is again a part of the older way of functioning कि आर्किटेक्चर एंड डिजाइन स्कूल्स में ना टिपिकली वो कभी प्लेसमेंट का उतना रहता नहीं था. कभी रहता नहीं था, क्योंकि क्या होता था, I'll give you an idea. Let's look at architecture schools ke statistics, okay? Till about 1990, late 1990s, and even way till the early 2000s, okay? There were about 70 to 75 schools of architecture in the country. Today, there are close to 500 schools of architecture in the country. Now, 70 schools producing, let's say, even 40 graduates every year is how much? 2,800.
2,800, correct.
Hardly anything. Where is the big number? 2,800. भाई आपके कॉन्टैक्ट से, मेरे कॉन्टैक्ट से, या किसी के कॉन्टैक्ट, वो आपने जो कर लिया, आपने थोड़ा बहुत बीच में कुछ ऑफिस ट्रेनिंग की, तो you are fine, you have got it, right? Situation has changed. 500 schools. Average 40, so 20,000 students are graduating.
Yeah.
This is not including design colleges. Design colleges, you take double the number.
Correct.
So 60, suddenly some 40, 50,000 students are graduating today, right? So what is to be done, right? Again, I think schools have started to open up to this possibility a bit. Right? I think that's what's happening generally. Now, what are we doing at JSA? Again, we go back to the idea of the built environment. So our students don't only intern with what you think are traditional design and architecture firms. I'll give you examples of where and how our students are interning and doing, and what are the kind of companies we have tied up with. Remember, I told you about this major minor thing, which is turning you into a very different kind of a designer, architect, whatever. Yes. So can you imagine our students are interning with World Wildlife Fund? Now you say WWF में क्या कर रहे हैं designer or architect? But yeah, remember, we are trying to tell you the built environment is everything. It includes forests. It includes places which you think are nature.
Correct.
It includes habitats for human-animal interaction. And if you know, that is a huge problem in our country.
Exactly.
Animal-human conflict.
Exactly.
You need designers there too. So, for example, our students are interning there. Our students are interning with places like Observer Research Foundation. Why? Because Observer Research Foundation, places like Observer Research Foundation, places like National Institute of Urban Affairs, places like Labs Hyderabad, all of these are huge concerns, huge places which are working with the government, with ministry, with culture, education, the ministry, this, that, creating programs, creating policy, creating this. So our students are working on that because, some of them are doing a major in law and policy, a minor in law and policy and design. Okay. Acha. We have students who are working with concerns like rethinking the future. Rethinking the future is what? Rethinking the future is an online platform for architecture, design, journalism, and creative writing. Right. So we have students who have done a major in architecture and design, minor in journalism, minor in liberal arts. They are interning with places like that. We have, we have people who are interning with places. So our idea is built environment mein kis tarah ke firms hai. Now, if it is an unlimited industry, it has unlimited firms.
Exactly.
So,
so everywhere there is an opportunity.
Everywhere there is. So in the last 2 years, Konark, we have tied up with 200 firms.
Oh,
okay.
200.
200. Okay. Who, and not only are they doing this, and so our students have this kind of a choice, but not only that, there's another thing that we have done with them. It's interaction with the industry is not a one-way street. कि हम लोग उनको सिर्फ interns भेज रहे हैं and in a sense एक labor supply कर रहे हैं. It has to be what is called a knowledge exchange. Only when there will be a knowledge exchange will there be actual interaction. So what have we done? With all of our partners, we have created for our students something called an externship. Internship तो होता था, externship चालू किया है. क्यों? Every company in the world that does serious work always has research and development work. Always has work which is required, where you require people to actually do a lot of background work before something gets taken into the foreground.
Correct.
Last year we started this. We have about 15 companies, right? They have outsourced all this work to our students. And they have appointed one supervisor from their end. So semester ke beech mein bhi also our students are doing this.
Oh, wow.
Externship is going on. I will give you a very interesting example of such an externship. There is a company called Kala Chaupal. Kala Chaupal is a Section 25 not-for-profit company which works with art and architectural heritage in India.
Okay.
They have got a project from the Culture Ministry of India, right? In which they are making digital reproductions, doing all kinds of other associated things for the heritage of the 1857 revolts against the British colonial empire. The main portion of this is located in Bulandshahr in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
What are our students working with? They are doing the following things. There's a complete digital mapping of the city that is going on and a digital recreation of the historical sites that is going on. So all of this work, Kala Chaupal has come and given and working with our students. They have their own supervisor and they are offering this as a class for our students. We have the visual, what is called virtual reality lab. We have all of those kind of facilities and we are working with them.
Okay.
Now, for all the people who are going to become a part of this heritage, there's also what is called a digital shop, digital, platform that is being created for heritage. Our students are developing what are called digital platforms for doing things like this with Kala Chaupal. Okay. Another company has gotten a project to map the cultural built and heritage of Kashmir.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So our students are working with that company. Us company ko project mila hai, but our student, it has been part of it has been now. So it's become an academic. It's become a knowledge exchange. This thing.
So it's a kind of they're working on live projects. Practical learning is there. The school is also getting.
So this is apart from the other live projects that they are working on.
So I mean, this
other live projects chal raha hai, externship chal raha hai. नॉलेज एक्सचेंज चल रहा है, मतलब इट्स अ वेरी डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ अ सिचुएशन देन.
I mean, out of these even 200 companies, if even 10% of them realize कि मुझे इस टाइप का बंदा या इस टाइप का स्टूडेंट या इस टाइप का प्रोफेशनल मेरे यहाँ पे चाहिए, तो ये दिस इज अ जॉब
देखिए
अपॉर्चुनिटी.
हमारे सेकेंड ईयर के हमारे एक स्टूडेंट है, वो गई रीथिंकिंग द, शी रोट 7 आर्टिकल्स फॉर देम, जैसे ओके व्हेन आर यू कमिंग बैक एंड जॉइनिंग अस. You
दिस इज
understand what I'm saying? Because वो अलग लेवल पे एक, and all of these companies, when I say they have come on board, we have signed MOUs with them.
हाँ, इट इज नॉट जस्ट अ
It's not the verbal. We have
वाला
actual
नहीं है ये.
memorandums of understanding with them. So they offer these practicums for us. They send it to our academic council. हम उसको approve करते हैं. Then it's a proper, उसकी पूरी वो होती है, feedback loop है. It's a full system. So ये ऐसा नहीं है कि एक end में जाके एक internship कर दिया. ये आपके सेकेंड ईयर से चल रहा है, सेकेंड ईयर में चल रहा है, थर्ड ईयर में चल रहा है, फोर्थ ईयर में चल रहा है, सारा टाइम चल रहा है.
जैसे आपने बोला था कि इट इज अ कंटिन्यूअस लर्निंग प्रोसेस, तो शायद बच्चे के लिए भी वैसा ही होना चाहिए.
एग्जैक्टली
सर, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत मजा आया ये चीज सुन के. सर, हमने कई बार ऐसा सुना है, आई मीन दिस इज हाउ व्हेनेवर वी सी आर्किटेक्चर, इंटीरियर, इन फील्ड्स को देखते हैं. देखिए, फंडामेंटली मैं ये जानता हूँ, और जैसा हम लोग स्टूडेंट्स को बताते हैं कि आर्किटेक्चर के लिए पीसीएम कंपलसरी गवर्नमेंट रूल है, इंटीरियर डिजाइन कोई भी स्टूडेंट कर सकता है. बट सर, अगर मैं रियलिटी में पूछूं तो इनमें कितना टेक्निकल नॉलेज इंपॉर्टेंट होता है?
देखिए, अगेन you are absolutely right in saying it's just government rule. 20, I mean, I have looked at architects here in UK, in US, in Australia, and दुनिया भर में देखा है, right?
Point actually, आपने पकड़
कभी कभी किसी को पीसीएम की क्राइटेरिया नहीं होती है अदर देन इंडिया, क्योंकि इसकी कोई जरूरत ही नहीं होती है. There is no need for it, right? देखिए, जो टेक्निकल नॉलेज जो आपको चाहिए होती है, which is far more important, is your ability to think technically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is that how well are you a person who is very interested in understanding how things work. This is what I will call a technical thinking. You understand? Rather than formula. ये प्रॉब्लम है हमारे देश में, and ये आज से 30 साल पहले भी था, जब हम स्टूडेंट थे, अंडर ग्रेजुएट में, पूरा दुनिया घूम के इंडिया में वापस आए, वो प्रॉब्लम वहीं के वहीं है. इट इज नॉट चेंज्ड, राइट? सो लेट मी अश्योर यू, मैं एक आपका शायद क्वेश्चन प्रीएम्प्ट कर दूंगा कि नीदर टेक्निकल उस तरह के पीसीएम चाहिए होती है, ना स्केचिंग चाहिए होती है. बिकॉज लेट मी टेल यू दिस मच कि नाउ डेज आप स्केच नहीं, क्लाइंट को एक गॉगल्स बना देंगे और आपको बिल्डिंग के अंदर ले चले जाएंगे, तो स्केचिंग की क्या जरूरत है?
जरूरत ही नहीं. सही बात है.
19th सेंचुरी की बातें हैं ये सर, की स्केचिंग करना पड़ता है. वो 19th सेंचुरी में था, क्योंकि तब ये नहीं था.
ये नहीं था. अब वही, अब आप अडेप्ट करते करते इतनी आगे आ गए कि इन सब की जरूरत खत्म हो गई है.
ये खत्म हो गया है. There's no need for anything like that. So in fact, one of the things we started, Konark, is something called we are talking only, is something called a BA Built Environment Studies program, which is actually a 4-year architecture program for those who come from humanities and social sciences background. And what we are doing in something like this is that this is an extension program, and we are tying up by December. We will make an announcement. So I'm kind of making a pre-announcement for your program.
4-year program, exactly. Yeah.
It's a 4-year program. यहाँ पे भी अब वो बाबा आदम के जमाने का चल रहा है कि भैया वो करके गए थे 1960s से, तो 5 साल तो हम चेंज ही नहीं कर पाते. But actually it's a 4-year program. Let me tell you why it is a 4-year program. And 4-year program के बाद actually किसी को immediately licensing नहीं मिलती है. आप अगर यूके में जाएं तो there's something called the RIBA, which is the Royal Institute of British Architects. If you go to and there's something called ARC UK, which is the Architectural Council of United Kingdom. So you can get your course from a 4-year RIBA accredited program, but you still don't get licensing immediately. You have to actually take an exam and register yourself with ARC UK, and then you get it.
Okay.
Now in the United States, there are two similar things. There's something called NAAB, which is the North American. You don't get immediate registration. You practice, you go and join a firm, you give an exam, and then you get registered, right? Okay. So this is the system even in Australia. So our program is going that route, that BA Built Environment Studies wala route. Registered in Australia, India, everywhere. That's how we are doing this.
Correct. Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Sir, probably my last question, and the way we would like to look at things. I mean, with you on board right now, what is few tips that you would like to give to students who are preparing their careers for architect, being an architect or being a designer in one way or the other? What will be your 2 3 important tips so that they can crack the examinations? See, sir, we cannot ignore the fact that in India we have examinations, we have
I
entrance
know.
examination, and you and me, I guess, both know it, that we are in an environment wherein there is a lot of rejection when you go for an examination, whereas if you go abroad, there's a lot of selection that is happening.
Yes, absolutely.
So
हमारे यहाँ पे ये है ना कि it's हम कैसे लोगों को exclude करें, ये
exclude
नहीं कि हम लोगों को enable कैसे करें.
और ये अभी से नहीं है सर, जब मैं पढ़ रहा था तो the first thing I also heard from one of my mentors is, if you live in India, it is a process of rejection.
Yes,
Go abroad, if you write SAT or CMAT or whatever, I mean, so there is a process of selection.
right.
So, but still, sir, we have to accept the fact that we live in India and our students are from India. I would like to understand, and we all would like to understand, what are the preparation tips that you can give to the students?
I will try my best, but I will say that now there are other opportunities, which is why places like Jindal and all have come up, that you don't have to go through the standard way. That's
Right.
number one. But let's say you still want to go through the standard way. You want to do the standard way or whatever. Here's what I'm going to say you need to do, right? Most architectural and or design exams in this country test a few things. And those are the things that I think you should be very, very, you should work on, for the lack of a better word. Okay. One of the things that they test is how well do you observe things,
Exactly.
right? How well are you? But please understand one thing. But the observation that they want from you is not a mechanical observation. The observation that they want from you is an involved observation. So it's not only what is happening, but uske आगे क्या आता है, उसके पीछे क्या आता है, उसके बाएं क्या आता है, उसके दाहिने क्या आता है, right? This is very, very important. So anything that you are, that you see around you, it's a little, you might think, do we have to observe everything? Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Being
Right?
a designer,
Because
yes.
that is the nature of the beast. That is the nature of the beast. ठीक है? But और ये आदत हम सबकी हो गई है, राइट? मतलब बैठे 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 हम हर चीज जो है एक उसको देखते हैं और समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि हाउ हैज इट कम टुगेदर. क्योंकि एज ए ह्यूमन बीइंग हम सिर्फ टुगेदर को देखते हैं, उसके ना पीछे का हम देखते नहीं है. उसको समझना और उसके बारे में सोचना इज वेरी, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Point number one, I think this is something I would like to tell all your students to think. The second thing that many exams, at least to a certain extent, try to test or at least assess, however badly, but what they try to assess is this, right? They try to assess that can you think outside the box?
Yeah, out of the box thinking.
Yes. So can you think outside of the box, right? Can you think when there is seemingly no solution available, is there a solution available, right? So I think that is something you have to start practicing. You will notice that, I cannot give you specific question answer papers, you understand, but I can tell you that this is what is the test is based on, what they are trying to. And the more you begin to practice it, right? That's, if you notice those kind of multiple choice questions or whatever that they give, most of it is really based on the fact that, none of them, either all of them will seem like an answer or none of them will seem like an answer. And that's when your ability to discern comes to the fore. Okay. Right. Now, third, and understand the difference between the two, right? Interpretation में एक और एक 11 हो जाता है, जो mathematics में नहीं होता है. Right? So I think this is the third thing which is very, very important. And look, I know you, as students, you all are preparing for an exam. But let me tell you, this is important from you in every situation, even if you get into the discipline. Right? The ability to interpret things properly. Okay? How do you say कि अच्छा इसका एक पहलू ये है लेकिन ये भी है और ये भी है, right? And that is very, very interesting and a very, very critical skill for those of you who are going into, I would say, this built environment industry, right? Because यहाँ पे it's not economics, it's not mathematics, right? आप एक प्रोजेक्ट करेंगे बाहर जाके, 10 डिफरेंट आपके स्टेक होल्डर्स होंगे, 10 डिफरेंट वेंडर्स होंगे, 10 के अलग आइडियाज होंगे. आप किसी को नकार करो, वो आपको आके मार डालेगा.
बराबर बात है, बिल्कुल सही है सर.
So you have to be able to create interpretations of things which can reach out and address issues raised by everyone. Right? And that is a skill that I think also gets tested. Right. So those are the three things, Konark, is how I would like to put it.
So yes, sir. So I would like to, just a little bit add up for the students.
Please.
So like you said, it is thinking out of the box, being in the situation, interpreting things. In fact, sir, I had an opportunity to meet one of the teachers. I'll not name him, but he was one of the invigilators who checked the papers of NIFT. He said कि जब NIFT में कोई भी बच्चा किसी क्रिएटिव क्वेश्चन में एक दो लाइन भी बना देता है ना कि आई डोंट वांट टू आंसर इट, द सेट लाइंस, तब भी हमें उसको 5% मार्क देने पड़ते हैं. यू नेवर नो कि वो क्या सोच रहा है. उसका सोच हो सकता है उस दो लाइन बनाने से एक अपना पर्सपेक्टिव बताना.
I'll give you an example. This is not so much for undergraduate students. When sitting in the US, you at a graduate level, when people apply, you get applications from the top students from all over the world. And almost everybody is writing or sending an application which is at a superlative level, because in a place like Cornell, which is the top architecture program in the world, 90% of the students self-select and say हमें मिलेगा ही नहीं वहाँ पे, तो हम करेंगे नहीं. So firstly, top 5% are applying from all over the world. Top 5% maybe has some 500 or 700 students who have applied. उसमें से you are taking 20, right? So you can imagine how crazy the competition is. And sometimes when we come across a student who says, everything that I learned in my 5 years was complete and utter rubbish, I want to redo it, we have admitted that person also at times. You know why? Because we are like, this person has got an interesting critique of what they are doing.
Correct. And he's being honest.
Honest, right? And he's saying, look, I'm still interested. I just did not understand what was happening, but I want to study it more. So not only honest, there's a perseverance, there's a dedication.
Correct.
So all those kind of things also stand out actually when they do.
Sir, it was amazing to hear you out.
Thank you so much.
You have taken a lot of your time.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
And sir, on behalf of everyone who is listening, everyone who would listen to you even after this live, I want to, on behalf of everyone, I would like to thank you so much for enlightening us. For the audience who are listening to us, who have joined a little late, Professor Chatterjee has been a stalwart of architecture, urban planning, interior design. He has been in so many great places. A university like Cornell, like he mentioned, world's best. His PhD from there, and he has given us a different perspective towards how we look at a creative field. And this is something that you should learn. The three formulas that he has given, the three things he has given, that you should be in the situation to understand the situation. You have to be very observant. You have to be, you should uh, comprehend what is being asked. It is not about answering, it is about comprehension. And yes, and above all, you have to think outside the box. And I would like to add up, if Professor Chatterjee allows me to do it, that it is about reproducing what you observe.
Absolutely.
It is reproducing what you think, what you see, what you, and sketch is just a medium of reproducing things. So it has not to be a fine art. It is not a
It
painting
is
that
not. It is not. It is absolutely not. And as I am saying, look, more and more, Kunal, we don't even have hand drafting anymore. Students come in, we teach them directly on the computer. You don't need it anymore. Yeah? Your computer, we have softwares which, you can take a building, move it like that, shift it. Why do you need it now?
But what you need is communication.
What you need is communication, and there are different, better tools now, right?
Correct.
There are better tools now. So
So
better to
thank
go
you
with
so much. Thank you so much again. I mean, I don't have enough words to thank you. Thank you enough for being here and giving us so much of knowledge.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much.
Konark, for having me. Thank you so much. All
Thanks.
right. Bye-bye. Take
Bye,
care.
sir. Bye, sir. Thank you so much.